What happened when an ancient woman simply said no to her husband? No argument, no explanation, just one word, no. Today, that might end a conversation, but in some ancient societies, refusing your husband could put a woman in a very different kind of danger. So what could actually happen to her? She could be punished. She could lose her home. She could even lose control over property that was supposed to be hers. But that still wasn't the worst part. Because in some cases, saying no could mean losing far more than a marriage. A woman could be separated from her children. Her husband could accuse her of betraying him. And suddenly, the woman who had refused him was the one being put on trial. But then came the terrifying part. What if she had no way to prove she was innocent? There were no phones, no recordings, no private messages to show what really happened. Her story could come down to her word against his. And if the people judging her already believed the husband, what chance did she have? But here's where it gets even darker. In some ancient societies, an accusation against a married woman could trigger consequences far beyond the marriage itself. Her reputation could become a weapon against her. And once that reputation was destroyed, getting her old life back could be almost impossible. So imagine saying one word, no, and realizing that you might have just put your entire life at risk. But there was one thing ancient women sometimes did that made the situation even more dangerous. They tried to leave. And that is where the story takes a brutal turn. In Babylon, surviving laws showed that a woman who wanted to leave her husband could face very different outcomes depending on the circumstances. One recorded case describes a wife who argued with her husband and wanted to leave. If she was found innocent, she could take her dowry and return to her father's house. But another woman who left, neglected her household, and was judged guilty could face a completely different fate. One decision, two possible outcomes. Imagine walking out of your husband's home and knowing that leaving might not mean escaping. In some Babylonian cases, a divorced woman could keep her dowry and receive support for raising her children. Because the danger wasn't that women had no choices. It was that their choices came with conditions. A woman could say she wanted to leave, but if the people judging her decided she had betrayed her husband, the same decision to leave could become a sentence against her. And then there was adultery. The Babylonian laws preserve cases where an accusation against a married woman could become deadly. If a wife was caught with another man, both could face death. But the husband could choose to pardon his wife. Think about that. Her fate could depend on what her husband decided afterward. A woman could even be accused without being caught with another man. In one recorded case, an accusation alone could force a wife into an ordeal to prove herself. Just one terrifying question. What happens when the people deciding your fate already suspect you? And suddenly, that tiny word from the beginning, no, doesn't sound tiny anymore, because for some women in the ancient world, refusing a husband wasn't simply refusing a conversation. It could mean risking everything, and sometimes, their life. Some had ways out, but those ways out could come with a price. And for one woman, that price could be far worse than staying forever.